today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're doing another installment in the series That Leslie Sound. And the Beard is going to tell you about the topic today.
Yeah, I think we're just going to take a minute to mention the Univibe sound, because I don't think you can really go deep into the Leslies without talking about the Univibe. So really the pedal that got me into this whole thing, got me into Univibes, Leslies, all that, started way back, Triple R guitar, when I purchased the Voodoo Lab Microvibe. Used this pedal on my board for years. Used to get kind of a poor man's Leslie out of it. It would sound a little bit like this. We also did this kind of like funky thing, and I would pull the speed back a little bit and you'd get something that sounds like this. Throw an overdrive pedal after it. I like the overdrive after the Uni-vibe. It sounds like this.
So the reason we're doing this installment is because in a previous episode, I referred to myself as the kindergartner in the room when we used the one knob on the MXR chorus pedal to get the Leslie sound. So I've asked the professor to break down, where did this sound come from? What is the genesis? What is the relationship between those two pedals?
So my understanding of this is, when you get into like Leslie simulators and emulators, those sounds really come from chorus pedals. It's all kind of a derivative of the chorus pedal. The Univibe was an attempt to take a Leslie, like a real Leslie, put that in a box that was portable. At least that's my understanding of it.
Kind of sounds like the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, where two things collided and something else came out. Is that really
right? Yeah, it was a mistake. It was like supposedly it was like a happy mistake, right? We're trying to make a Leslie. We got something that doesn't sound anything like a Leslie, but is very cool in its own right.
I'm trusting you, but I don't know, because I mean, it could be an urban legend. You could tell me anything over there.
Right.
You've got the long beard, the wisdom. I'm over here, the kindergartner. Are you sure? Like, there's not somebody who's like done extensive research or has a billion pedals and has got citing sources, perhaps. I mean, anything.
You mean like some original pedals?
Yeah, maybe they've taken one apart and looked at it. Or
subscribe to that. No matter what you hear, you can never have too much beer. Saying of your
Can we get somebody like that? Maybe I'm not trying to be mean, but
I mean, I've thought about it, but the reality of the situation is, I think finding that person would probably be about as rare as finding a unicorn.
Hello, glad to drop in here and join the party. What you said is mostly right. It's pretty good. The story is really cool and it's kind of intricate. There is a really amazing team of engineers that work for a Japanese company called Taisco. And those engineers, there's kind of a breakup there and a different mindset, and a few of those people leave and they start a company called Honey. And Honey becomes a company called Shinai. This all happens in a very short amount of time. But one of those engineers invents a really incredible effect called the psychedelic machine. This is a psychedelic machine, a companion psychedelic machine. It'll say Shinai sometimes. There are very rare units that say Honey. And one of those engineers did this, and it has two incredible effects in it. This is a big, giant pedal, basically with no switches. Over here, you have what we know as the super fuzz. You see this labeled Univox. You see it labeled all kinds of stuff. Shaftesbury, Shinai, Honey. But that's the super fuzz, like an octave fuzz. And then over here, it says mood adjuster. Well, the mood adjuster is the original Univibe. So they released this and it does really well. So they decide, hey, that's kind of a funky thing, this big amp top unit. They put it out in a single enclosure called the Univibe. This is an original Shinai unit. There are Univox units as well, but Shinai made all this stuff. And the guy's a genius. So the thing that's tricky about this is it's been told for decades that he was trying to emulate a Leslie, and it doesn't do it well, but it has this cool thing. That's not exactly true. Now, he states that when he was a child, he and his father would listen to like ham radio type situations, and then they would try to tune in radio stations. And there in Japan, Russian radio signals would interfere with the Japanese signals and phase the signals out. So you literally have two channels, Japanese and Russian ones, interfering, phasing it out. And he just simply, as an engineer, wanted to create a phasing type effect that emulated the sound of this radio interference. And that's what he created in the Univibe. And you have to think about the time period. So this is 67, 68 is when it's released. There's nothing that does a Leslie sound. We hear a real Leslie on Beatles records and a lot of bands that could afford the studio time to deal with that or have the equipment. And people just instantly heard his effect, and they kind of sensed that it did a Leslie-esque thing, although it was never designed to do that. And even Univox and Shinai themselves started boasting that in advertisements. But that was totally secondary. It did a Univibe sound in its day because it was the only thing that even got close to that sound. So yeah, in that sense, it did it, but he didn't design it to do that. He still works for Korg. This is his newest version of his invention. This thing's crazy. It's bonkers. Just check it out. There's a foot controller behind me on the shelf somewhere. And then yeah, I have the Unicorn. It's cool. It has tap tempo. It's bulb driven just like the vintage units. That's kind of your Univibe History 101. And I'm gonna leave now and like disappear magically from this scene. Bye.
Wait, what just happened? Were we sleeping? I'm wearing a different shirt. I have a different guitar. Your hair is like really long. I think we just saw a unicorn.
We did. We found the mythical unicorn of knowledge, of pedal knowledge. And
immense wisdom.
Immense wisdom. And just so everybody knows, unicorns take a long time to find.
Hashtag true story.
On a serious note, thanks Josh from JHS Pedals and the JHS show for doing that for us. This started with sending some messages back and forth with Josh about the Leslie Sound series, and turned into everything I thought I knew about the Uni-vibe history was wrong, which led to a phone conversation, which led to him doing an interview with us. We'll put a link up in the cards, and eventually led to this video. And we've dealt with Josh several occasions now, and dealt with a bunch of other people at JHS. Everybody's fantastic. So big shout out to everybody over there for helping us out and the wonderful things that you're doing. And yeah, I think that's about it, right?
It is it. I'll give our standard tagline in a second, but I have a sneaky suspicion that this wasn't just a question that was answered, but it might lead to a whole nother series about a certain type of pedal that I was very fearful of when the first question got answered. But with that, yeah.
Thank you, everybody, too, that's subscribing.
Yes.
Hitting the like button. Leaving comments. Going out to Instagram, Facebook, and commenting there. Every interaction you do with the show really helps us out. We really appreciate that. In the comments, what do you think of this new version, this new tale told by a unicorn?
Yes. Yes. So with that, I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear, even if you totally don't understand the origin of said gear.